Hey everyone, I'm so excited to introduce you to Ashli Mason. Ashley, it's such a pleasure to have you on this podcast. I really appreciate your time.
I'm so excited to be here. You guys don't know this, but Crystal has actually been jumping in and out of my life for like the last couple of weeks, and she just keeps getting bigger and stronger and more amazing in all the stuff she's trying to do. So I'm so excited to be part of the journey for sure.
Well, thank you. So, we're going to jump right in and ask you some questions about your life, your journey, and everything that you've been through. So, will you share a bit about yourself, your family, and your current business?
So I actually went from being like a stay-at-home homeschooling mom a couple of years ago, and then I decided to jump into business. Can't decide if it was fate or if it was something else, but I had always been what I don't know, probably one of those moms that made other moms really uncomfortable because I'm really ambitious. And I was really scared to jump into business because I'd never done business before. I'd never done real estate before. Like, I'd never done any entrepreneurship type thing. And my husband and I just decided to jump in and figure it out. And it ended up where I was starting to run all the business things, and he was just helping to support from the back end and all the behind the scenes stuff that is still just so foundational to everything. And that was about 3 years ago from today ish. And yeah, it's just been a really fun adventure ride. We've done a whole bunch of different kinds of businesses at this point. We've done some real estate ones, we've done some technology dabbling, and we're looking into the future doing more. But it's one of those things where we finally got settled in entrepreneurship and just still carving out our path, but we're just having such a great time.
That's amazing. Like, having that ambition is truly inspiring. Like, even if some moms are kind of apprehensive about that, like, having that ambition and knowing that you're not alone. Like, being able
Yeah,
to have people support you.
yeah, it might take you a little while. It took me a long time to like get settled and find like where I felt like I fit in really well, but yeah, it's really fun. Once you kind of get situated and settled, then you can just enjoy the ride.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So, is there any particular like scenario that ended up leading you into becoming that entrepreneur and going that route?
Yeah, so my husband and desperately wanted to, change the course of our lives. A little different than what our families had traditionally done, where they had been, traditional W-2 workers, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I love the way that Cody Sanchez says it, where she says that, a lot of entrepreneurs are just the people that are not hireable. And I am sadly one of those people. My husband is also one of those people where every time that we would get involved with some type of W-2-esque job, it was usually that we wanted to be more results based, or we wanted to, expand and broaden capacities and update structures and systems. And when things just didn't make sense to us, we had a really hard time sitting with that. So we just decided to go all in 2022. We sold our home. We walked away from a W 2. We were living in my parents' basement, and we were just trying out all the things. My husband had tried to be a wholesaler and realized that like that wasn't really a good fit for him, and we were looking at potentially being PMLs and all this other stuff. But really what it came down to was after a couple of months of just kind of floating in that limbo, it got to a point where we had a really big decision to make because the amount of funds that we had to work with was dwindling really fast. And so we had this very like dinner table talk where we're like, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to go back to what we're doing? Or are we going to continue forward with this? These are some of these options that we haven't pursued yet. And that's kind of like our last ditch effort. And being a transaction coordinator was one of those. And so I was like, okay, I will jump in and I will try this out because that's how desperately I just did not want to go back to a W 2. Every single day, I'm like, if I have to, I have to. And we'll go figure that out when that happens. But I'm going to do every single thing possible before I get to that point. So I would say that my aha moment of stepping into this power and this role exactly was that survival kind of opened that door because I was like, if we don't do something, we've got 3 kids. So we got to make some strategic decisions here. So survival opened the door, but I would say that it was probably like purpose and passion that helped us kind of stick around and stick it out.
That's amazing. Like having that purpose and that passion for sure. Like obviously the survival led you and like you felt like you had no other place to go and like letting that passion lead you on and just keep you going. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Did you
it was a lot of evolutionary growth in a short amount of time to realize what we really really wanted and that we were going to kind of have to we're going to have to fight for it a little bit. So,
yeah. Did you feel any fear during any of that time?
yes, yes I did. If I would be lying if I said that I did not, and I think anyone who's in like that first year of trying to completely shift into entrepreneurship from a W-2, especially if they walk away from one, there's a lot of fear that goes along with that. You're in a totally new realm. You are walking into a tunnel that's got all of these trip hazards that you could not even possibly see because it was in a dark tunnel and you're just figuring it out as you go. So yeah, lots of fear, but also a lot of excitement because we were progressing. Like the sheer amount of adrenaline and dopamine that you get when you jump into something like that and you identify as a learner, you get all of those like neurotoxins of like, oh my gosh, wow, I finally understand how taxes work. That's amazing. I never thought I would have to relearn that, but wow, now I feel way more educated. You just feel more empowered. You have more tools, more connections, just more of a perspective on life that's different than what you had before, and you're seeing the world in this whole new way.
I definitely agree because I feel that too. I'm like, yeah, the fear's there, but that adrenaline and like that excitement just keeps you going. So, and you do, you learn so much along the way.
Yes.
Were
Yeah,
there any?
and fear is just one of those catalysts of learning. It's normal. Normal to
Yeah,
feel fear.
yes, that's very true. Are there any other challenges that you faced in those early stages of entrepreneurship that you feel could help other people push them along?
Ooh, that is such a great question. I've been talking about this a lot lately, so it's definitely the thing that's on the top of my mind, but I felt like one of the biggest challenges I personally had with making that transition into becoming an entrepreneur was that I'm a mom. I had like, well, how old were my kids when we did this? I had like I think I had a 2 year old, a 5 year old, and a 7 year old when we did this. You know, maybe a little bit older than that. But like my job up to that point was to manage the home, take care of my kids, homeschool, do like the mom stuff. And when we transitioned and I wasn't the main manager of the home anymore and I wasn't the one who was like making all the meals for my kids anymore or anything like that, it was weird. It was so weird. I had an identity crisis for a little while when we first started. So, all of that to say that one thing I wish someone would have told me during those early months and years of doing entrepreneur stuff that was a really big challenge for me was that you don't have to trade being successful in business with still being present as a parent. Like my kids and my family are the reason why I wanted to do this. Like they're a huge part of my why to try to shift our identities over into this realm. And so for the first, I don't know, 6 to 10 months, I was being fed this mindset and this perspective that if you really want to be successful as an entrepreneur, you have to want it more than anything. And if you're not working like every minute of every day, if you're not doing everything absolutely possible, you don't want it bad enough. And so for a long time, easily 6 to 10 months, I was up before my kids and I went to bed, you know, way, way, way late. And I can count on 2 fingers how many times I saw them for a matter of minutes every day. And I know that for like a lot of dads, that might feel really normal. But as a mom who had spent literally every second of her life with those kids since they had been born, it was weird for me to just like all of a sudden not be present. And my kids suffered because of that, where it's like, it's important to have a mom and a dad involved with aspects of their life for that type of stuff, like mentally even. And, but it's like, I just had thought I was doing what I was supposed to do to be successful as an entrepreneur. And I wasn't having dinner with my family, and I wasn't tucking my kids into bed. And I was literally like doing as bare minimum stuff as I had to just keep them alive and then go do this other thing. And it just was really hard because it got to the point where my kids were like, Mom doesn't care about us. She just wants to work. You know, they thought work was more important than them. And so it took me a while to recover from that. But that is something that I hope a lot of parents understand, is that, you know, our families need our energy just as much as our businesses do. And actually, Tim Story said this, I think, at Squad Up Summit, which was one of my favorite things that he had said, was that you need to have a strong foundation at home so that your businesses can thrive and they can be successful. And I didn't have that for like the first year. And I realize now, like, that was one of the things that was missing, is I was trying to build this empire of a thing, but my foundation was super crappy because I wasn't prioritizing that and then building on that. And so that would be my thing, is I suffered from that. I was challenged by that. And I hope a lot of new entrepreneurs don't have to deal with that the way I did.
Yes, thank you for sharing. Like, that's a very personal like, situation to go through, and so many of us do that because we don't realize that we need to have that time to our family. We need to schedule our calendar and like get things organized so that we can dedicate that time to them. And so like I agree that a lot of us do end up facing that struggle of, we think we need to do all of this, we think we need to put everything towards the business, and it's like, well, you need to live too. We need family.
Yeah, we're not living to work, we're working to live. You gotta like, that's part of the mindset shift of becoming an entrepreneur, is you're shifting that aspect too.
Definitely. So,
Yeah.
who was doing everything with your children while you were trying to be that successful entrepreneur mother?
It was my husband, and let me tell you, I know how grateful and like lucky I am to have such an amazing spouse. Like, we both are teachers, first of all. Like, we both have a background in teaching, so he was able to take over homeschooling stuff really easily because he already had a lot of the skills that we were using for our homeschool stuff. And he just was doing it his way. And that was the thing that was so fun to watch, is that it's like I already had these systems and automations set up in place for our family, and I just handed them off to him, and he changed them. But we didn't get rid of him completely. It's just he's going to do it his way, and I had to let that go. I might be a little bit of a control freak, but you know, it was like they were being fed, they were being taken care of. He was being present with them, he was playing with them, taking them to their doctor's appointments. Like, he was doing all of this stuff, and it was a hard transition for him. Just like it was for me. It was funny because we joke about how, like, before that moment, we thought each other's lives were like this daydream kind of a thing, and then we switched roles and we're like, nope, we know exactly what it is now. There's nothing hiding from either of us in either of our roles right now. So
That's amazing, like getting that clarity on each other's roles.
yeah.
Did you have any conflict with your husband during this time? Like,
Yes. And it's not like, it's one of these things where it wasn't like super, you know, high level, like really aggressive conflict. It was just like we both we both had feelings. Like, we were both going through transitions of what our roles were in our family and how we were helping and serving our family and all this other stuff. And so a lot of it was just came down to like us just talking about how we felt. You know, where he's over here being like, I feel like I am a janitor and I have to clean up everything all the time, and it's a never ending job, and the kids never say thank you, and oh my gosh, it's so awful. And I would just be with him, and and just in my mind I'm like, yeah, I know I did that, you know. But then he would also do the same for me, where I would come over to him and I would just express how stressed I was feeling because I'd never been a primary breadwinner before. And I hadn't even understood the stress that goes along with that either. And he would do the same thing for me. So, like, we had conflict during that phase, but it wasn't at each other, you know? And maybe, like, occasionally we would have moments of emotional vulnerability, and I would maybe say something that I didn't really mean, but everything always, I mean, he's such a great listener, and so everything always boiled down to, like, we're just really stressed out, and how can we help each other, support each other without stressing the other person out even more. It was very much a team effort, and I think out of that season of our life, we really developed this mindset as a family of we're going to win together as a family and we're going to lose together as a family. It's not going to just be one person's loss. It's going to be the whole family, and it's not going to be just one person's win. It's going to be the whole family. And so it's just simple things of, like, you know, everybody takes responsibility for everything, where it's like, if we're not able to make this event because I have to work, and then the whole family, that's the response is, sorry, we're not able to attend, we're working, like the whole family's working because they're trying to support me too.
Oh, that's so special. Like,
It took a little minute, but yeah, it's something that, like, even to this day still is so strong, like such a strong empowering thing for our family, because, like, there's just things that you have to sacrifice sometimes as a family to do entrepreneurial stuff. And our kids understand that, and they understand that, like, that's just part of the game. And they don't blame us, and we don't blame ourselves. It's like they understand this is our family making this decision, and we're doing this together.
that's amazing. That's, again, so inspiring. Like,
It took a minute. It's like trial and error. This has been like 3 years. It's taken a long time, but it is in a good place, and I'm really happy.
that's amazing. So, do you have any other support systems within your family or outside your family that you can go to?
So right now, I have circles. I've built circles kind of like how you would build a business. So my family is like my primary circle. They're where I get majority of my support from, like my immediate family. And then, like, we do have, occasional times where we'll reach out to friends, or like our moms or our, sisters or brothers or something, and see if they can, like, hey, we have to go do this event. Can our kids stay with you so we can do this event, or whatever. But in general, we have these little pockets of circles of friends that help us with different aspects. Some of it's with work, some of it's with our kids, some of it's with homeschool. Like, we just have built these little tiny networking circles to help us kind of stay propped up with the direction that we're going. Because the other part that's fun is that a lot of people who decide to be entrepreneurs, they're not also homeschoolers, and so their circles are going to look different than mine, because I have this other circle, but maybe their circle is sports and their family is super super involved in sports, and my kids are not as involved in sports, and so I don't have that circle. But so yeah, I kind of just tried to be intentional about the relationships that we have, and sometimes that's, sadly evolving and outgrowing some of your old relationships, but as long as you have your strong little circles for the different things that you need, you've got what you need.
Definitely appreciate that. Like, that's a very cool perspective to look at. Because, like,
Yeah.
when you know that you have the right people and the right circles that can help you out in those different aspects.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have your own little circles in your stuff?
I do, because I definitely have, like, my TC circle. So, like, you're in that circle with me. And, like, obviously the other entrepreneurs as well. So, like, when you have the, like, people you can get deals done with. Like, you have the wholesalers, the money lenders, the
Yep.
and buyers. Like, knowing you have those circles to reach for support too. And then obviously my family and my friends. Like, yes, I have different circles.
Yeah, and those circles will change and evolve as you change and evolve, because you'll need different things as you continue to progress.
Very true. Like, I've noticed that as I've, like, grown out of different areas, like, there's been friends that have dropped out of my life because they're no longer part of those circles that can help support me to where I want to go.
Yeah. Is that ever hard for you when your friends kind of like don't fit into your life anymore?
Yes and no, because I'm used to always moving, so I'm used to like letting things go.
Uh,
So, yes, it's sad because then I'm like, okay, I can't be around them because they're dragging me down and I don't like that feeling. But then it's also good, like, oh, hey, I don't have to feel dragged down. So,
yeah. There's some relief and there's some sadness, and but it's all positive progression moving in the right direction.
it is. It really is. And like knowing that we're going where we need to be to help other people better and to give them that experience.
Yes, where we need to be. That is so true.
So, the next question I'd like to ask you is the balance. How did you finally come to the balance between the time with your children and your husband and the successful business running?
Well, have you ever seen people trying to do like the tightrope walking on like the straps?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just so they have I don't know the technical name of the straps, but it's like there was a movement that started, many years ago where they would do these these tie down straps basically to two trees, and then you would go and you'd practice walking this super tight tie down strap in the middle of the, I mean, it was so, you get it really, 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 really tight. And then there's people where they can walk this tightrope and they can just practice walking it. There's people who get so good at it that they can like jump on it and do tricks on it and they can swing and all sorts of stuff and they never fall. And I kind of feel like when people ask about balance as a parent and being an entrepreneur and having a spouse and like all these different facets of life, that it's something that is constantly changing because I'm like, well, I've got my balance now, but as soon as I take another step, I don't know if I'm going to have my balance. And it's just gotten to this point where I'm like, it's a day by day thing. Am I feeling balanced today? So far, yeah, I'm feeling balanced today. Did I have to like totally change my time block earlier this week because I felt out of balance? Yeah, I did. How many times have I changed my time block this month? Probably 5 times. It's like, it's something that I'm constantly assessing. But for everybody who's wondering, like, how you would want to try to achieve some semblance of sanity with like multiple facets of your life, my answer to that would be you need to have really clear goals or like directions with those things. So I'm just like, some people, they're really clear on how important their health is to them, and that's one of the ingredients in their balance recipe. And then there's people with relationships or finances or there's like this whole concoction of balance that we can make, but a lot of it is always going to boil down to how much clarity do you have with those things, because it's hard to tell what's throwing it out of balance if you don't know why they're in there.
That makes sense.
So my thing would be make sure you have a lot of clarity around what's in your balance recipe right now. Maybe you have too much salt. You might want to take the salt out or take it down a little bit or something. And then the other aspect of it is to just try to automate and systematize those different things in your life. A lot of people, especially I feel like moms, I don't know about dads, can't speak for dads, but I can speak for moms. I feel like for a lot of moms, sometimes when we feel like we just don't have time to do all the things, we're really just lacking clarity and we're suffering from decision fatigue. Where it's like, I'm trying to refigure this out every single day and just sitting down and being like, this is why it's here. This is what it's for. So I'm going to just do this and try to keep it simple so I can keep doing it without burning myself out.
That makes sense.
Am I making sense? I might be rambling.
No, that made complete sense to me. Like,
Oh, good. Okay, because that's just the thing is it's like, especially being like ultra ambitious moms, they have the capacity to handle a lot, but now we gotta like sit down and being like, okay, here's my bucket. Why is this in here? Is this the treasure or is this trash? Why is this in here? do I really want it in here? I don't know. And that's where like the clarity part comes in, is sometimes we just do everything and we don't always know why.
That makes a lot of sense. Because I know, like, even some people, I know me particularly, I don't always share my feelings. So, like, if we're not getting that clarity because we don't want to take the time to sit in our feelings and figure out what we're feeling, like, like that decision fatigue you talked about, like, makes so much sense. I'm like,
It
oh,
does.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? I had a therapist when my oldest son was diagnosed with autism when he was 3, and I had a therapist who was kind of like helping us figure that out when we were going through that. And one thing she said to me about feelings that was some of the deepest gold that I've carried with me over the last couple of years is that we are emotional creatures and we're meant to have emotions, and we need to sit in those emotions and process them so we can move on to a different one, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
we have this circle of emotions where it's like, at first I'm really, really angry. And if I keep avoiding me being angry, I can't ever process that anger to sadness. And then I can't process that sadness to jealousy or whatever's next, and it's like this whole circle where it's like eventually I get to happiness again until I'm ready to evolve, and then I become angry again, and it's like this circle of emotions. And so every emotion's a good emotion, but we have to sit with it. And that's where we get the icky feelies, is that we think we have to be happy all the time.
We do. I know. I definitely do.
So I hope you feel safe talking about your emotions. It's so good. Everybody has them.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. It took me a long time too.
Yeah. You did it, though. You got there.
If I can do it, you can do it.
True. I got this.
You do got this.
So, what other effective time managements have you used in your life to help get these things together? So, I know you mentioned therapy. I know you mentioned time blocking.
Yeah, so I would say I can give you like an overview of like the systems and stuff that I have going on. So like example, I have a creative time in my day, and I already have it decided what that time is allocated for, and that's that. I just do that. I wake up and I do that. And then same with working out. You just make a system that says Monday we do this, Tuesday we do this, Wednesday do this. And so funny because so many people, when they hear things like this, they're like, I don't want a system. That like ruins my creativity. And I was like, well, it actually doesn't. It actually helps you not suffer from this decision fatigue all the time. So you actually get more creative access to your brain because you're not worrying about something falling through the cracks. You don't have to make every decision every second of every day, and you get to actually use your brain to be creative. So I'm like, I know it seems counterintuitive, but just trust me on that. So we have like a creative system that we pull from to help us with our creative time. We have a physical fitness creative process where like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are this, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays are this, and then Sundays we rest. We have a meal system. I have a menu that is for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Monday through Sunday, and it says exactly what the menus are, like what it is. It's like I don't have to think about that ever again. I just look at the paper. It says, "Oh, this is what we're having for lunch," and then we make it. And everybody's always like, "Well, do you make it?" I'm like, "No, my husband makes it, or we teach our kids how to make their own food. So then we have 5 people who know how to cook in this house." So there's one. We have our menu meal system, and it makes grocery shopping so easy, you guys. If you have a menu and you're like, on week 4, these are all the meals we're going to have, then all you do is you make a grocery list one time. You make a grocery list one time for week 4, and then all you have to do is just go through that list at the beginning and say, oh, I don't need sugar. We already have sugar. Oh, I don't need, vanilla. I already have vanilla. And you just cross off things that you don't need, but you don't have to recreate the list every week. It's great.
Sounds amazing.
It takes a minute to make it, but it's like a passive resource where you're like, you put in the time before and then it pays you back for like I've been using this for years at this point. And it just keeps going because I've got like 6 weeks of menus. And by the time I go through the 6 weeks, nobody even remembers what we had the first week. So it doesn't matter. Um, and then, so that's like my meal stuff. Same with homeschool. We have I teach these subjects. I have a system for how I teach them. My husband teaches the other subjects. And then it's like I have a time block for my work and what I work on when. And I have a little buffer in there for like things that I can't plan for. And yeah, I don't know. Finance systems. We have systems all over the place. So I'm like, I just to sit down and decide why are we doing this? What's the goal? Try to make a system that makes it inevitable. Like create something that makes the result that you're looking for inevitable. And then you have a good system. You might be tweaking it, but you don't have to like completely redesign it every year.
That's awesome. Did you dedicate like a week, a month to making these? Like, how did the creation come about?
Oh man, I think some of it just depends on like the season of my life when I was doing it and how much clarity I had. So like the menu one, I was uh I was about to have my last child, so my third child. It was about a month away from his due date and I realized I am way too tired to be trying to recreate the wheel every single week. And so I sat down for a weekend and I told my husband, I was like, this is the only thing I'm doing this weekend. If there is nothing else that gets done this weekend, but this is going to be a win. And then I sat down and I wrote down every dinner that I could think of, every lunch I could think of, every breakfast, and then I put it on a paper. And then that was like the first day. And then the second day, the second and third day, because I think I started on Friday. So like Saturday and Sunday, I would pull up the recipes for all of those meals. And I put all of those on a different paper that said week 4. And I literally just like added all the ingredients onto one paper.
Wow.
And so something like that took me a weekend. But like there's other things like, I don't know, workout routines or something that definitely takes me longer because I don't have as much clarity or expertise in like working out. I am not a gym trainer or anything, so I have to go out and find things. So something like that might take me a couple weekends. And but I know like this is my project this weekend is developing this system so that it'll help me be more efficient during the week.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, anytime.
And then, I know our time's coming short.
I know.
It was so fast.
So much. Time flies when you're having a good time.
It does. It really does. And it's been so amazing to hear your insights and everything that you've been sharing. So thank you so much. Did you have any particular items that you wanted to share with the audience?
Of course I do. Guys, this is Crystal we're talking about. We've got to make sure we're bringing like the best of the best stuff for sure. So I do have a PDF that if anybody wants it, you guys can go ahead and just find me on Instagram. My tag is at @IM_Ashli Mason. Yes, I spell Ashley with just an I. That's all I need is a L-I. But if you guys go follow me on Instagram, you can send me a message and just message me Mom Power. I have a one-page sheet that is basically like the 10 truths that I've found as like an ultra ambitious business mom, just lots of ambition that I feel like are just the fundamentals and the foundations of my mom life and my business life. And obviously, you don't have to be a mom to still get it. You can definitely get it. But just find me on Instagram, send me a message that's Mom Power Crystal, and then I'll make sure that you guys get a copy of that.
Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Do you have any final remarks for the audience before I let you go?
Oh, last call. I would probably say that part of the going on these journeys of evolution, whether it's in business or you're trying to learn a different skill or you're going into a different type of industry or anything like that, a lot of people deal with this feeling of that they're starting over or they're like imposter syndrome, stuff like that. And this is where I would challenge everyone to realize that you're not starting over. You're starting a deeper version of you. You're doing a different level of you. You're not starting over. You have so much value, so much experience, so much education and like life view to bring to wherever you're going that you're not starting over. You just are learning how to shift and pivot and adjust all of the assets and all of the tools that you have still to how they're going to look in this new place. So don't lose hope. You're just finding the new version of you, the higher version, the elevated version, and you're never ever starting over. You're just figuring things out for a minute.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. So,
Ha.
again, everyone, follow Ashli Mason at I am Ashli Mason, and then don't forget to like and subscribe. You can
Yes.
get more
Thank you
info.
so much, Crystal.
You're welcome. Thank you.